Sounds good.
In 3, 2, 1. What's going on, folks? Welcome to 34 Questions. I'm your host, 34. Tonight we have Che Cruz in the building. How you doing tonight, Che?
I'm good. How about yourself?
Doing all right. It's Tuesday, so it's not really halfway through the week, but I feel good about it. I hope your week's going well. It's been good so far.
Yes, definitely. Just loving the better weather. So I live in Oakland, but my home base is in Long Beach. So I'm originally from Long Beach, but the weather's been a little bit warmer. So I'm very happy about that.
Sure. Shout out to the hometown. I went to school out there in Long Beach.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
No
yeah.
way.
CSULB for sure.
Oh, hell yeah.
So I
Awesome.
had my experience for a while there. You know how when you move to a new place, how long does it take before you start telling yourself, oh, I'm from here, or I can rep it a little bit?
Exactly. That's how I feel. It's like, I don't want people to think I'm from Oakland. Like, I've only lived there for a year, but I don't want to step on people's toes.
Disclaimer, right? Disclaimer.
Disclaimer.
And back then, I felt more comfortable repping Long Beach like that, but now it's more like,
Totally.
oh, that was just a part of my life.
I get that.
Special place in my heart for sure.
Hell yeah. I love that.
For the folks out there who are unfamiliar with the flow of the show, for you two, Che. No,
You
Che.
got it.
All right.
Chet, you got it.
Che.
You're good.
This is the breakdown of the episode. We start off with
Awesome.
a little warm up, then we'll get into an icebreaker, a little mini game, and then after that we'll turn to the wheel of fate, where we'll spin the wheel, whichever number it lands on, how the conversation flow.
I love that.
After all that, we'll finish out with some closeout questions. Sound good to you?
Perfect. Sounds good.
Sure. All right. Well, before we really get rolling, I just want to ask you how you been doing. You've been doing great. How you been lately?
Ooh, such a loaded question these days.
It is.
I've been, how would I put it? It's been good, but also stressful. So you actually caught me at a very interesting point in my life. About a month ago, I actually quit my corporate job with nothing lined up.
Oh,
So
okay.
that has its own stressors, but I left my previous job for my mental health, mainly because my job at that point wasn't fulfilling me anymore. I've kind of been in that space for like 6 years, and I didn't really see myself continuing to do that. Just was really stressed and overworked. And, when something doesn't sit with you and you try to make it work and you force it, that's when the more stress comes through. So I actually quit my job about a month ago, and I'm definitely in a much better place mentally because of it. But being quote unquote unemployed has its own stressors. So it's a mixed bag. Definitely a lot better, but also, just a tinge of stress.
I got you. I mean, stress is good. That means, you're working towards something. There's something that matters to you, right?
Yes, definitely.
I used to be a very free flowing guy and go with the flow kind of attitude.
Yeah.
But I realized it's because I didn't really know what I wanted to be. And so I didn't have that timer in my head, or just something to keep me accountable from decisions I was choosing. But now that I have more of a clear idea, I do feel stressed, even when I should really have no reason to be. I'm like,
I just am.
I feel like I need to be doing something, almost
all the time, no matter
right?
what. Totally.
It's a weird, and I try to be very comfortable in not doing anything how I used to be, but
Right.
I think maybe it's because I spent so much time not doing anything. Now it's like, dude, you wasted too much time, and now
You feel like you have to make up for it type thing.
Absolutely.
Yep,
Absolutely.
I feel that.
Are you making a complete career change, or are you kind of gonna stay in the same industry-ish if you were gonna think about finding something?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. So I'm actually trying to do a career switch. So before, when I was working 9 to 5, I was I work in marketing. So I worked in marketing for 6 years since college. And then at night, I'm a DJ. So I'm not technically unemployed. It's just not, consistent income. So
For sure.
DJing for now. But career-wise, what I'm taking this time for, so I gave myself 3 months, but I know given the landscape of the career space right now, I don't have full control of when I'm going to be employed, but I envision these next few months that I'm kind of in this exploratory phase, because, kind of how we were raised is everything's super formulaic. Is get good grades, go to college, find a partner, get married, have kids, all that. And I'm just maybe that isn't like what I want for myself. But during this time, in terms of career, I'm actually really interested in doing something in the music industry. Ideally, music marketing would be really cool. So like kind of pairing like what I've been really good at. So I do like social media marketing, and then like my passion for music would be like super ideal. During this like hiatus, if you will, like I've been trying to talk to different like music professionals that are in my network and my friends of friends who are really nice to just like recommend me just to kind of like learn more about what I want to do, because I've learned previously, I mean right now I think I have a little bit more clarity of what I want to do rather than in the past. Like people were willing to help me, but I didn't know what I needed help with. So I was just like, we don't know how to help you. So I want to be able to have a more like tangible answer. So when people ask me how they can help me, I can just be like, this is what I'm thinking. Like, can you point me in the right direction, rather than be like, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I got you. That takes time too, right?
Definitely.
I don't know if you feel like you're in a rush, but some things take time.
Definitely.
I've definitely been that person as well. And I don't know if you've ever had this situation, right? And I feel like this is something that's personal to me, but I've come across a lot of folks, same issue. Finding a mentor, right? Like finding someone kind of guide you in this path that you want to get
Definitely.
on. And I don't know if it's easy for you. I don't think I'm an only child, so I was we were kind of grew up in a way of like, we got to figure it out on our own, or like we're comfortable in trying to figure it out on our own, maybe a little too much, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, finding a mentor is tough. I don't think I found one yet either. And even if I did, maybe I wouldn't recognize it. Like it presented itself, right? It's like,
definitely.
Like how do I recognize a mentor?
A mentor, yep.
I asked a therapist once about this.
I love that.
And he told me it's like when you're ready, the therapist, or not the the mentor will appear, or like will reveal itself. And I don't know if that was like the advice I needed to hear. It's like,
you're like, okay, so I'm still lost. Great.
Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Nothing against my therapist at the time, but
of course.
I was really looking for like a little something more direct, or maybe a tangible action I could do. Except it was his advice was more like, I don't know, I took it as like, I'm not doing enough, so like you're saying I'm not ready.
You're like, so I don't have a mentor because I'm not ready. Thanks.
But yeah, no, I hope the transition goes smoothly for you. But
thank you.
This is the first time we met, and just feeling the vibe from your personality, I think you'll do just fine with the networking, meeting people and trying to build those connections.
Thank you.
For sure. All right, let's move on to the warm-up. All right,
let's do it.
So my first question in the warm-up for you is, what would you like the audience to know about you? So if you're meeting someone for the first time, something that like disclaimer, this is who I am.
Yeah. Oh man, you and your great questions. So I would definitely say my name is Che. I am a Filipina DJ who's very passionate about many things like mental health, like diversity, and especially women, female DJs. I'm very passionate about that because I feel like not even in just the DJ space, I feel like in the music industry, there aren't as many females, but it's definitely growing, which I'm very proud of. But I'm always for women empowerment, especially in the music space. And my whole spiel of DJing is I just want to make you feel things, because I don't remember where I heard it exactly, but I will always remember someone told me that people will never remember what you say, they'll only remember how you made them feel. And I think that's kind of how I approach DJing. Like even getting to become a DJ was a struggle in its own, but like it's saturated. There's so many, like I joined late. I'm feeling like I had so many reasons why I shouldn't pursue what I am pursuing. But I feel like what separates me from everyone else is just that it's truly and 100% about the music. If I could DJ like deadmau5 and just have a mask on me and people not know it's me, then that would be ideal, because I feel like for me, DJing is a selfless service versus some people who make it about themselves. So my goal, and I think my purpose in life, is to affect people musically and just make them feel something.
That's what's up. That's dope. Dope as hell.
Thank you. Thank you.
For sure. Have you been DJing for a while? Like, has it been, since a childhood thing and growing up, or when did you
Yeah,
jump into it?
no. So, like many other people, I am a COVID DJ. So, I started during the pandemic. It was a very untraditional path, if I would say. So, I've always wanted to be a DJ ever since I was 8 years old, ever since I heard of Daft Punk. They were the DJ duo that made me realize that I need to get into this space. I don't know what it was. I was 8 years old, right? I was just like, I don't know, but like I gotta do this somehow. But being an Asian American, I only believe that music could be a hobby, so I never like pursued it professionally or anything serious like that. So my way of coping with that reality was when I went to college. So I'm from Southern California. I went to college in Boston. I lived out there for 6 years. I studied abroad in Australia. So like I've just been around a lot. But ever since I moved out and was on my own, like concerts was like my therapy. Like I didn't really go to therapy till later in life, but music was just my way of like going to concerts and festivals. I was like, okay, well I can't be a DJ, so I'm just gonna, go to every single concert even though I'm hella broke. It's fine.
I got you.
So that's kind of how like it started, like my love for music. And then when I moved back home in 2018, I heard about this DJ school here in Orange County that my friends were a part of. And it's very selective. It's called Academy of DJs. Very selective on who they choose. I'm very competitive. I applied 3 times. The first 2 times I didn't get in. It was very discouraging. I almost gave up, but then I thought about it. I was like, wait, like all the DJs that I love did not go to a DJ school. Like this is not the only path to what I want to do. So 3rd time I applied, I didn't have any expectations. I was like, okay, like I'm not gonna force it. If I get in, I get in. If I don't, like that's fine. But then I did get in miraculously. But at this period, it's actually funny that we're interviewing today because yesterday marked my 3-year anniversary of DJing.
That's wild.
3 years ago to the day yesterday, I was let go from my job. But before I was let go from my job due to COVID, I already had a mix that I wanted to like share with the world. So I already had that date in mind, but that was the same day that I got let go from my job. And I was like, this is some divine timing, angel number shit. Like, holy, like this was like already in the works, but like, of course I didn't know I was gonna get let go. But that was the catalyst for my DJ career because now I had all this time, during the pandemic. And the reason why I say my DJ path is untraditional is because I started, before even I was on the school, I started on Twitch. Before any DJs were on Twitch, I was just like playing around with the buttons. I didn't even know anything musicality wise. I was just playing music. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing on my phone. I didn't even have like a proper streaming setup. So then I got accepted into the DJ school. But as I was in DJ school, I was also filming like just like my DJ journey on Twitch. Like I would stream like 3 times a week. So both of those in tandem, and then I graduated December 2020. So I actually learned how to DJ initially remotely because we weren't, it was a pandemic. So that's why when people like DJing's hard, I was like, but you didn't learn online by yourself for like 3 months. So don't tell me it's hard because I did it.
I got you.
But yeah, so Twitch, that's where I met my community, and then graduated, and then the world started opening up a little bit. My first in-person gig was in Oakland, which is really dope. My friend Jug, he has this clothing brand company. He had like a store in Oakland, but he put me on my first gig, and that was really fun. It was like in a clothing shop, which was really dope.
That's dope.
And then my first club gig was Arena K-Town, rest in peace. So yeah, just from there, and like a lot of the gigs that I normally get, I've been very grateful for because it's usually rooted in someone I know in the Twitch community, whether it's like, I DJ'd like in New York or Chicago or anything like that. It's always been tied back to Twitch. So that's kind of like how I came about the idea of DJing, and I've been doing it for 3 years, which is crazy to say.
That's a crazy story, yo. I think it's interesting how like, I wonder at what point our society is going to look back at COVID in 2020 as like crazy transformative year for like
for everyone, whether they like it or not.
Like, yeah, it's such a trip that we went through something where it's very universal, and
Yeah.
and I started this podcast out of COVID as well.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that was my transformation or
Oh, yeah.
transformative moment.
Love
And
that.
as I continue to have these conversations with folks, since it was post COVID or like post shutdown and everything,
Right.
it always comes up, like that topic of that time and
Mm-hmm.
like where everybody was at. It
Mm-hmm.
like our origin stories are like
Yes, I love
coming from
that.
that, right?
I love that. Yes,
Like,
our origin stories.
I'm a big superhero person, so like
Yes, you are.
if there's a big bang, it's like a big bang of talent, creatives, and or just ideas and thoughts and people
Yes.
pursuing what it is that really matters to them.
Yes.
Wow, yeah. The more I think about it, it's just a lot of reflection that happens.
Yes, definitely.
But yeah, I got you. So you mentioned like that people come to you and say, "Oh, DJ is so difficult."
Mm-hmm.
So from your experience, what do you think is the most difficult thing?
Oh, there's so many things that I think is really difficult about DJing. I think one thing, as not that I'm an old head or anything, because I'm new to the game. I know my place in the industry, but I feel like everyone is trying to be a DJ now. But I saw this tweet that really resonated with me. It says, anyone can be a DJ, but not everyone can be a good DJ.
I feel
And
it.
I think that really like stuck with me. So when I see, people that are getting better opportunities than me because of their clout or whatever, it's like, okay, well, sure, they're a DJ, but doesn't mean they're a good DJ. But to answer your question, I think there's a lot of things that make DJing very difficult. I think the equipment itself is very daunting. If you don't know what it does, you're just guessing, because that's how I did it initially when I didn't go to the school. Sure, you can watch YouTube videos, but I'm the type of person that's like very hands-on. I need someone to be like, this button does this, and this happens when this happens. But I mean, watching YouTube, you can get that to a certain extent, but that's just how I learned personally. So I would say the equipment is very daunting. To like secondarily upon that, like depending on like what you want your path to be, it's like your connections. Like, how are you gonna get booked? Like, if you're a new DJ, it's 100% like who you know, and that's just like the industry as it is. But the third thing that I feel like that is not talked about enough, and something that I want more conversation around. So actually, when I was streaming on Twitch as DJing, I actually also did my own podcast for 2 episodes, and then I was like, I'm tired. So I had a music podcast as well. It was called It Comes in Wave.
I dig it.
And like wave file, I was like, okay, haha, like witty, DJ Wave BB. But yeah, in that podcast, so I had 2 official episodes on like Apple and Spotify, just like explaining like my DJ story, like how I became a DJ and whatnot. And then at the end of the episode, I provide like songs that I'm listening to. But then as I started getting more involved with Twitch, I actually migrated the podcast into a Twitch format, which was actually really fun. I started interviewing my friends live, and I actually really enjoyed that format because sure, I still had like that interview format, like in the traditional podcast sense. But the reason why I enjoyed doing it on Twitch was because we had live interaction from the chat. So we can like mold our conversation based on, the interaction from the chat, like asking us questions or telling us what to do. Or I thought that was a really cool aspect of it. And just being able to see their face too while I was interviewing them, I feel like was a really big factor. But the third thing, just to go back, I think that is really hard about DJing that no one really talks about until you're like pretty thick in the game. But even then, I don't feel like it's like a widely discussed topic, is that DJing is not for the weak. And I mean that in terms of like mental health wise. Like, DJing is such a fast industry. Like, you have to keep up, whether it's like social media or like within your friends or like what songs are hot or anything like that. It requires you to be always on, essentially. It's hard to draw that line of like Che versus DJ Wavy BB. It's like Che loves music, but like DJ Wavy BB is always like, okay, like where's the new up and coming XYZ? And just like how the fastness of the industry itself just takes a really big mental toll. Like I always think about like, okay, I wanted to be a DJ at 8 years old, but 8-year-old me would not have been ready for all of the different things that come with DJing that, you know, is so glamorized. I feel like, especially now with like TikTok and everything, people think you just pick up a control and you're a DJ. Sure, technically you are, but it's like, do you know what comes with that title? It's like people DJ for different reasons. People DJ for themselves, for clout, fame, followers, whatever. And there's people that DJ in their bedroom that never make it out of their bedroom, and that's okay with them, you know? Like there's so many different paths to being a DJ, but I feel like one thing that a lot of people or younger DJs get caught up in the fact is they think it's about them. But DJing at the end of the day is a service. It's an energy exchange between you and a crowd. And, you know, the art of the DJ and what makes everyone different is, for me, my rule of thumb is I never play music I don't like. That's why when you ask me for Bad Bunny, I say, fuck no. I say $300, pay me $300 and I'll play your Bad Bunny song. You know, because the way I view it is this club, this venue, this event hired me for a reason, for my taste, and please trust me. And it's my job to make sure that you have a good time. Don't tell me how to do my job. But you know, that's a big like hot take in the DJ industry. Some people are like, are you a real DJ if you don't take requests? So to each their own. But personally, I never take any requests unless it pays. But I think of it more like I DJ selflessly, where I view a lot of people DJ selfishly, but you know, everyone moves the way that they need to.
For sure. And yeah, as far as that take that you just threw out there, this is very current for me, just because I work at a high school, and the high school just had their prom on last Friday, and they were not happy with the DJ because of no requests, right? And I guess I feel like in your profession, you really gotta, I don't know, read the room or kind of know what you're getting into.
Definitely.
I feel like if you're doing a show, for sure, like the audience should trust your taste and the energy that you're if you're headlining, they know that you're there. It's all
right,
you.
They're paying to see you.
But I don't know. I can't always say the same. Maybe like at a wedding, for sure.
For sure. Definitely
you gotta take requests.
You have to. Oh, definitely.
But yeah, so it really depends on where you're at. And yeah, you know, after hearing his opinions on it, I'm just like, I'm sorry that they didn't really like want to play the music you wanted to hear. So it was tough, but I definitely see where you're coming from now. And I just think it's interesting that it came up after I got one side of the story. And now I can hear it from the. It's very true. You don't want to tell somebody how to do their job, especially if you've never done it before.
And we have this thing too where we say, if you can DJ a high school dance, you can DJ anything, because kids are brutal and won't tell you like it is. So if you ever need an ego check, go DJ a prom, like for sure. And that's why I'm kind of in contact with a school right now that wants me to DJ an event, like an after school event, which I'm cool with. And then they were like, oh, we want you back for a different event. I was like, if it's for a dance, my boundaries no, like I don't want to do it. Because it's different. You're like, it's the way that like your purpose is different. Like I understand for high school dance, you're kind of like a jukebox, but like you said, for headlining, it's like it's your art. Yeah,
for sure. I just hope I can share this with my students so they can kind
of, please do.
They can see the other side, so they're not
you can
as
share
mad.
This podcast. They can blame me. It's cool.
No blame. We got to be open to different perspectives, right?
Exactly.
But yeah. Anyways, I think we got to move on to the second question in the warm up, which is this button working? Oh, there it goes. How would you like to be honored? If there was a way I could express the energy you possess, what sort of act could I do? What could we do as your people?
Wow. I really love that question. I've never really been asked that. I mean, I would say just because like, I guess my talent or how I express love to people, even if I don't know them, is honestly through music. If there's a way that, you know, like you said, you're put in different environments, like strangers, but like I can read the room, like, okay, they're this type of people, they're gonna like this type of music. I love, like for me, my favorite feeling of DJing is I'm a very nostalgic person. So I love playing throwbacks to a certain extent. And I love playing songs that you forgot you knew. And then I love that feeling like, oh, I haven't heard this in forever. Like for me, that's like the best feeling that I love as a DJ. And I think for me, it's like kind of my way of like showing like love to other people. It's like, I know you don't know me and I know you like this song, but I'm going to surprise you.
I got you. No, that's definitely like one of the best feelings. Even like a couple of weeks ago, me and my friends were hanging out. They were playing some songs like, I can't believe I forgot about this and forgot about this.
Exactly.
But I got you. It's trying to bring that expression out or that feeling out is a great way to honor you.
Love that.
But for sure. Yeah, what's a song for you? Like, I don't know. I mean, you don't got to play me a song, but if you could just drop a song that you feel like would my head explode. I'm not gonna put that pressure on you. Never mind, because I don't.
I'll think about it during the interview, and I'll send it at the end.
Maybe at the end. Maybe at the end. Sure. All right. And my last question for you in the warm up: scale from 1 to 10, how well do you know yourself?
Ooh, man. I would definitely say 8.5.
Okay. How'd you get to that number?
Yeah, no, I mean, that's a great question. I would say I'm very young. I'm very arrogant. Like, I'm a Virgo and I'm super into like astrology and labels and boxes and all that kind of stuff. I would take the Myers-Briggs test like every 2 years, and then I get some kind of high, be like, see, I haven't changed. Like, not in a bad way, but like, I know who I am. Like, I'm the same personality type, like every X amount of time. But, after, dating a lot of people, I feel like personally, when you date people, you learn a lot about yourself. You learn a lot about like your downfalls or things that might be your blind spot that your partners will bring to light about you. I'm not saying like, date a hell of people to find out about yourself, but I would just say like, through my dating journey, I've learned like really monumental lessons that I would not have known if I had not dated them. And also, I think it's funny too, where might be hitting too close to home, but sometimes when I have like an epiphany at work about like working style or anything like that, it actually is deep rooted in like my personal life. Like one thing that I got from so I had 3 different managers back at my previous company, and a lot of their feedback to me was to be more confident. And that would kind of trigger me because I'm just like, oh, you think it's like a button? You think like, like I can just turn it on and there it is. But I mean, obviously the only thing consistent between those 3 people was me. And it wasn't them like telling me personally I need to be confident, but them telling me that from a work perspective made me realize like, oh shit, like that's also like a life thing too that I need to work on. So I think, with constant feedback from dating and working, I've learned a lot. And by practicing those things that I learned, like the past 2 years, I usually try to have like a theme every year, or at least when I reflect back on previous years. And I would definitely say the theme these past 2 years is boundaries. Like I never really knew the concept or knew what that felt like growing up, I was just like, I learned that I'm such a huge people pleaser, and like, it sounds like a good thing, but I didn't realize how that manifests poorly, like negatively, or with the people around me. And I was like, oh my gosh, like that's like the root of like a lot of these problems that I'm having. So the reason why I arrived at 8.5 is just the constant feedback I've been getting from friends, partners, and work. I'm like, okay. And then I could definitely feel myself not repeating those same mistakes I was making because of the boundaries I've set.
Got you. And I feel like 8.5 is very strong because you just gave me like a good reflection on, how you got to that point, right?
Hey.
And one of the things is, you brought up in relationships, you learn a lot about yourself. I think, with me and my partner right now, I think something I've realized is I am such an enabler. Like it's really hard for me to take someone away from what makes them happy.
Totally.
And I'm just like, but in my mind right now, and I still haven't figured it out, like how do I work that upon myself? And I work with students too. The students know me as like this super nice guy, like is like never angry and stuff like that. And so from that, and even in my relationship, I'm just like, damn, this is who I am. And I
Right.
don't know if I want to be like that all the time, or like be
Right.
like that
Or
forever.
be known as that. Right.
So I don't know. That's something I've realized for sure in relationships. And you talked about, experience at work, and I almost want to ask you this because this is something that's also current in my life. But
Do it.
um, the separation between personal and professional, right?
Ooh, yes.
So I'm in a position where I'm supervising people,
Right.
and I feel I'm pretty old school in the way of, like, in my mind, it's always been separate. Like,
Mm,
I have to, compartmentalize me
right.
at work versus me at home and
Right.
all that stuff.
Right. Right.
I feel like, working with folks that are in this newer generation, they don't have that separation.
They
It's more,
don't. You're right.
it's very like, this is the whole me. And I
Right.
understand that. I get that. And
I get that too.
I want them to feel understood. I want them to feel supported. But in my mind, my feedback to them is like, this work thing, if you're not working for yourself, is very much a system. And like,
Mm,
and I've had 12 jobs in my life where that feeling of like, oh, I'm wasting my time, I gotta do something different or follow my passion.
right.
It happened
Right.
so many times for me until I realized I should be working at a school kind of thing.
Mm,
Um, but now after all those jobs and I'm back at the school,
mm,
I know the system, and
mm,
I'm not the person who wants to change it anymore. I feel like in previous jobs I was like, I could do this better, or there's a better way to do this.
right.
But I'm old enough and I've had the experience enough where this system is not going to change because of me.
No.
And
Yeah.
I really need to just find ways to be happy or finesse the system in ways that makes me feel like I'm still productive, or I'm still choosing my heart over everything else.
Yes. Definitely.
So for you, is what would you say is the right way? Should I continue to kind of like let folks know that this, if you're looking for a place that's going to understand you fully as a person, like personal and professional, like
Mm,
it's a hard place to find.
mm-hmm.
And I almost want to be real with them in that sense, but also like let them know that even though the system's broken, the people that you're around still understand or still care and still try to like, help you out. So yeah, that's where I'm at. And what are your thoughts on?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think I'm really happy you're asking me this question because that's something that, I was really on my mind when I was on my way out from my previous company.
Mm,
Like it was the reason why it was so hard to leave my previous job was because nothing was wrong, like on paper. Like I just got promoted. The people were very compassionate, very understanding. I worked fully remote. I had full, like, unlimited PTO. Like it was basically everything that I asked for in my life on paper. It was great. But my issue was that I couldn't feel like I could fully be me in that role because I didn't want to do it. Like for context, I love how you said you compartmentalize. Like I do that at like my 9 to 5 job. Like when people ask me how they want to call me, I say it depends who's asking. If it's work people, I say Chelsea because most people can't say Che. And Che is like my personal name, how I identify. So it's like, okay, we're meeting through work, I'm Chelsea. Like I'm professional, I'm Chelsea. But if it's like, we're out at a bar, we're drinking, like we're just like in a casual setting, I'm Che. But like if I'm like if I'm in like a networking DJ event, I'm Wavy, right? But to answer your question, I think what's the pinnacle of like my previous role and the big part of why I left was the compartmentalizing was tiring. And like you said, it is hard to find a place that accepts you wholeheartedly. And I don't know if it's, my parents' generation that taught me this or my own experience or whatever it might be. I think it has to be both. I think, the way you communicate has to be professional, but like your intention and what you want, the content of what you want to tell them has to be you. So it's like your knowledge, you can't just be like, like you effed up or don't do this. Like, but like what you're trying, like the message you're trying to say is innately who you are. But it's just, I think for me, in terms of professionalism, it's just how you communicate it. So I think, instead of saying like, I'm going to wear my professional hat versus I'm wearing my personal hat, I think you should wear both hats. Just be hyper aware of how you deliver that message. But the core of the message of what you're saying, I think, should come from you and yourself.
That is a good way to put it. Because
Thanks.
yeah, I think I feel like there's a lot of instances where someone's personal view or personal, message is needs to be more professional. And I think
Definitely.
that is definitely, I think, the difference, like you said, is the way you communicate things, right?
Right.
Yeah, for me, I definitely toe that line, like I try to be myself, and I try to be professional. Like my work email sign off, or like little signatures at the bottom, I say much love, like much love,
I love that.
or whatever.
That's great.
And in my mind, I'd be thinking like, who depends on who's reading it. Like they might see it as professional or unprofessional. This guy's too casual. Never got too much bad feedback just yet, not from my bosses and superiors, so I guess it's cool. But yeah, it's definitely it's interesting choices that we make. It kind of teach a workshop on code switching and like how we code switch almost all the time, every but yeah, as far as like finding a place where you can be yourself, I think that's why working with the youth and working at a school, after all these jobs I've had, it really was the place where I felt like this, I can be myself, especially when you have upper management that kind of understands you and sees you like this is more of an asset than a negative thing.
Right. Or like you're replaceable. It's like, we want to invest in this person versus like anyone can do your job. Right.
For sure. And I feel like a lot of people are stuck in jobs like that. Like I'm happy that you're able to kind of make that realization for yourself, take those steps forward into a different land. But I know a lot of my homies who still, and they make good money, and they're I feel they're more secure than I am when it comes to be financially secure. But a lot of our talks is like, I'm not happy where I'm at, or like, I wish I could be doing something different, be something more creative.
Yeah. Or I envy you. It's like, I get it.
I'm like, I envy you. Like,
That's the catch-22 of life. I'm realizing that it's always something. Like, I don't want to derail too much, but like, have you watched Beef yet?
I have not, but give me what you're referencing right now.
Okay, there's one thing, I'm not giving it away. Okay. But there's one point where Steven asks Amy, and Amy, just to give context, is like super rich, and then Steve is like barely surviving, and they're at this dinner party, and he says, I just want to know if I have to work as hard to get to where you're at, like, is it worth it? And then she says, everything fades. And that was just so like impactful, because they want what the other has, no matter what. Like, I know this is like a really, not dumb, but like a small version, but I remember when I was young, like very young, I had jet black straight hair, and I was like, I want curly wavy hair. But then people have curly wavy hair, I want straight hair. And then when puberty hit, I got curly wavy hair, and then I was like, I miss my straight hair. So you always want what you don't have, no matter what.
I hear that. J. Cole?
Yes, love him.
There's an interview with a basketball general manager, and I watched that recently. And one of the things he brings up is like how J. Cole says he envies people who can be happy where they're at, be happy with like what they have.
Totally.
And I was talking to my friend about it, and my friend was like, that's what rich people say. Or it's easy to when you to say that when you're rich.
Totally.
And then, but what you told me right now, it was like, well, I guess that's what poor people say about rich people. And it's like, it's always whichever, like, like you said, wanting something different or something that you don't have. And
totally.
That's scary, right? Like in my mind, it's
scary. You make it, but then it's like, will that feeling still be there? And most likely it will.
Yeah. And, I think I've tried to live my life in a way where I'm trying to let go as much as I can of all that stuff.
Same.
And I don't, like, my parents have been really supportive in my life, but I feel like that's where the biggest disconnect comes. Because
100%.
They want to see you secure. They want to see you like, just be happy and, live a good life. And
totally.
what that looks like to them versus
it's different.
Especially how much it's changing for us in this time of like the world, right? Like And it's a trip.
Oh,
It is a trip.
it is such a trip. And, I think that's something that has been really hard for me. Kind of like your first question, like how I'm doing is like the anticipation of like when I had to tell my family like what I did, because it's like nothing bad happened, but at my own accord, I am putting myself in this financial spot. And I think during the past 2 years too, what I've been trying to shed, and it's so hard, of like generational trauma, is like letting go of that scarcity mindset. Like before, like what's fed to us when we're young, like the only way to live life is a 9 to 5. But the way that, I'm trying, like I had this thought a few months ago. It's like, okay, 9 to 5, you make a certain salary, right? Like that's like whatever. But like, at least for me, because like I'm a DJ, right? And we love music, it's like, either I can make that X amount of salary working 40 hours a week, but like Beyonce or SZA, like one ticket's $500 just to see her. Yeah. One night, 4 hours of her work, 500 per person, and like a whole stadium. It's like, I want that. I want that kind of wealth. Like, I don't want to cap and limit what my parents think it is, and like I don't blame them. Like that's what how their generation grew up, and I'm trying to be respectful of that. But I think at least for my family, my generation, I think unfortunately it's on me to break those norms and break what we think is possible. But I'm more like, I want the bigger fish. I don't want this fish. So that's just kind of where I'm at.
No, for sure. And same conversation with my parents. And I think I'm just happy that my parents are the folks that they raised me to believe that I could do anything or like be whatever I want.
Right? That's the most powerful thing. Hell yeah.
And as I grow older, I feel like I've seen different ways of being brought up. And for me, I'm a happy dude, even though I don't have it all. Like, and I feel really like in peace with who I am and what I'm trying to do with my life. That I don't think, even though I think maybe if my folks were more stricter or harder on me, I'd be more secure financially, but I don't think I'd be happy that way. And
totally,
even though they might feel like they failed sometimes, like I have those conversations with my parents. Sorry, I wasn't tougher on you, or I'm sorry I didn't have the resources. Right. I'm happy. And like,
yeah, like you didn't do anything wrong. Yeah, that's what I have to tell my parents too, for sure.
Yeah. And am I assuming correctly if I say you're Filipino? You could tell me if I'm wrong.
You are assuming very correctly.
Okay. And I don't think this is just for Filipinos, but
totally,
just the comparisons that happen and the conversations that happen with older Filipinos. It's be toxic sometimes. I ain't gonna lie.
Ooh, not sometimes, all the
time. But yeah, so I hope our parents can come at peace, because I mean, I feel like
they have no
like
choice.
You're on your path. Oh yeah, well that too. They don't have a choice.
Low key, high key, you don't have a choice, but here I am.
But yeah, I mean, but that's the thing, right? Our parents are their own people, and they have their own demons and their own like levels of success in their mind.
Totally.
We just hope that we can show them that we are happy where we are because of who they are.
Exactly.
But yeah. All right. Well, just a heads up. Che, we got about 15 minutes left in the interview. So, I'm not the kind of person to try to rush things and like get everything through. So we'll continue with the flow and see how far we get. But
sounds good.
This next one is going to be the icebreaker.
Here we go.
There we go. All right. So you can choose if you would rather do a word association or a this or that.
This or that.
This or that. All right.
Yes.
Here's 34 seconds on the clock. When I start it, we'll have 34 seconds to do as many as you can, and at the end, I will dig in a little deeper.
Okay.
Do things.
Let's do it.
Here we go. In 3, 2, 1. Night or morning?
Night.
Regret or doubt?
Doubt.
Pause time or rewind time?
Rewind time.
Introvert or extrovert?
Extrovert.
Education or experience?
Experience.
Win a race or win a debate?
Win a debate.
Plans or surprises?
Plans.
Be embarrassed or be afraid?
Ooh. Be embarrassed.
Ooh. All right, that was the last one in the 34 seconds.
Oh, wow.
But let's start off there. Be embarrassed, be afraid. You went with be embarrassed. Why'd you gravitate towards that side?
I'm the type of person, so I don't like regret in any form. I'd rather make a fool of myself and do the thing that's been on my mind rather than having missed the opportunity and beating myself the rest of my life for not doing it. So I'd rather deal with the embarrassment than the regret.
You feel like that was something you've always had, like that perspective, or something you kind of had to grow into?
I think I've always been like that. And not to sound morbid, but I feel like sometimes when I talk with my dad, he has a lot of regret in his life. And I think just being around that, I'm like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to live like that.
I feel you. And I don't know if that regret comes like later in life.
Right.
I have a saying, it's like you either grow better or bitter. I definitely don't want to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a trip.
It
Anyway,
is a trip.
We said pause time or rewind time, and I believe you said pause time.
Oh, rewind time.
Oh, rewind time. Why'd you choose rewind time over pause?
I'm just a very nostalgic person. I like to, rewind and reflect and live in the moment. But for me too, I just like the concept of rewinding rather than pausing. I don't like being stagnant. I just always have to be moving in some form.
I feel it. It's crazy. So I want to ask, what's nostalgic for you, or most recent thing, right? But for me, I'll let you know. For me, it's I grew up on cartoons and TV shows everything, right? And what's crazy about it is that now I feel like in my 20s I would rewatch it. My example is Hey Arnold. In my 20s, I rewatched it, and now I'm in my 30s, I'm watching freaking breakdowns of those episodes by somebody else. It's called the Dark Side of Hey Arnold. I've been binging that. If I knew the channel, I would shout you out. I forgot what it was, but yeah, it's hitting me, especially with the nostalgia, and also just bringing out the little topics. One of the first episodes, or the first episode, is all about Helga. And I don't know if you remember Hey Arnold in this way, but that was the first time I saw a kid take therapy. Helga taking therapy on the show. And so it's just I mean, kudos to the folks at Hey Arnold, but y'all were dropping gems in there that I didn't
early on. Right,
I got way older.
Whoa.
Yeah. Kind of like how you probably the same feeling when you drop something on people's ears. But yeah, what's nostalgic for you would say, currently?
Yeah, no, it's so funny that you mentioned that. So today, I don't know, I feel not to be morbid, I feel like we're all getting older, and I'm an only child, and my biggest fear in life is watching my parents get old. So, I am very fortunate to be in the position that I'm in, that I have free time rather than I'm unemployed and throwing a pity party. I'm I have time to make, I'm not glued to a desk. Now I can actually do things regardless of the day. So I decided yesterday to take my dad to the Aquarium of Pacific. And we haven't been since I was a baby, since a kid. So I took him to the aquarium, and we haven't been, since we were both very young, and we were just reminiscing, oh, remember, you took that picture here. And I tried to recreate a film picture of when I was young and stuff. And it was just nice because my dad's yeah, we just relived the good old days. I was yeah, it was kind of nice.
Good old days.
Yeah.
There's I want to say it's a show that I watched, but it's I wish we knew when the good old days were before they became the good old days.
Definitely. I get that. You're why you gotta say it like that?
Yeah, no, my bad.
No, you're good.
But no, it hurts sometimes. The truth be hurting, yo.
Oh yeah.
All right, so I think we got time for a spin. Let me just do one spin.
Let's do it.
All right, here we go.
Let's do it.
Wheel of Fate. And
let's do it.
Of course, the wheel is messing up for me.
It's okay. Do your thing.
Thank you, Wheel. Thank you for working it out. All right, so It's number 30 is your question. I feel like it's your only real question for tonight, but
Okay.
if it's too deep or something you don't want to talk about, feel free to pass. We definitely,
For sure.
But number 30
Not
is,
the.
I feel like I react this way all the time to these questions, and people are like, you wrote them, like you shouldn't be reacting this way.
Like, why are you surprised? I'm just kidding.
30 is, what's the last lie you told yourself?
Ooh, wow.
Yeah, you could tell me to pass if you feel. If
No,
you
no.
want.
I mean, it's a great question because I never really thought that to myself. The last lie I told myself, I think, was that I can't endure this period of my life. I won't be successful during this transition. I think, like, that's my fear. And that's why, before I said I was stressed, is because that's like my underlying fear is that I won't be successful. Like, I kind of have this ego where I need to prove everyone wrong type thing. Like, I want to prove, like, every time I feel like I tell someone, family wise, not like friends or anything, that like, I'm not working right now, they're like, and yeah. I'm like, what, you doubt my ability to like make it through? So, I mean, that's not the main reason, but I mean, of course, like, I'm afraid, like, scarcity mindset kicks in, like, I don't have steady income, I got bills to pay, blah, 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 blah. So that's like the underlying fear. And I think it is a lie, but I'm like afraid that it's true in a weird way, like that I won't find that dream role, that I will run out of money, or, I'll go back to the same job that I left just because, I didn't find whatever it may be.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably the last lie that I told myself, that I can't do this. But like you said, it takes time and it's only been a month, but it's just a constant battle that I have with myself recently.
No, for sure. I mean, it's especially in this very tender time. And yeah, I totally get like having to explain yourself to family members about your decisions. 12 jobs, yo. So every family function was like, oh, what are you doing now? And it became a running joke at a certain point. Like, they're like,
I get that.
oh, what's your new job? Like they already asked without me like having
like,
to say.
Exactly. Okay.
But not for sure. And like also my first dream was to be a rapper, right? Like from 12 to 27. That's
I see it. I see this for you.
Yeah, so that was my first like dream, and it's still back there. It's in the back, but definitely
I'll be producing for you at that point.
I mean, manifest it, right? Manifest
Hell
it.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if you really want to hear it, I'll share some music with you so you could kind of see the style.
Genuinely, yes, please.
For sure. But yeah, it's like I just hate having to explain my choices. Like I'd rather really just be like,
do it.
Be quiet about it, and then like have people ask me.
Move in silence. Yes, exactly.
Move in silence, for sure. Somebody at work told me the same thing. Like, they're like, yo, you don't like it when people see how you work, huh? Or like, you work. Like, no, I really don't.
I actually don't. Thank you for being perceptive.
Yeah. And I'm all like, no, the coworker is very perceptive. Actually, he's also the guy who told me like, you must really like to have good laughs, huh? Because like I guess he notices me laughing like very hearty every time. Yeah. So yeah, I'm like, dude, you're right. And no one
really.
You're so
perceptive, bro.
But yeah.
How do you know that?
I appreciate him for it too. Like, not everybody can point out these things about other people. And this is reminding me to tell him how much I appreciate him for saying those things. Actually, yes. I gotta do that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's move on to. Really want to do this part with you, so I'm gonna do it.
Let's do it.
This is called the 34th mantra. All right. So I need you to close your eyes for this part.
Okay.
All right. So imagine yourself, taking a hike in the forest. You find yourself like in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by tall trees. And you felt like you needed to scream. You don't need to scream on the podcast, but I'm gonna tell you the phrase I would like you to fill in if you were to just yell it out, get it off your chest. But the phrase is, I am blank, I can blank, I will blank. All right. Whenever you're ready, feel free to open your eyes, let it rip.
Okay, you're gonna have to remind me each one. So I am powerful. I can do anything that I put my mind to. And then this last one, I will. I will prevail.
Oh. Now you have this little audio reminder of yourself, this audio clip. Hopefully one day it'll be useful for you. Oh.
Thank you. Yeah.
For sure. All right. Moving on to the closeout question. This next one is actually from my previous guest. So shout out to Mike EV. I don't know if you've come across him or he's a rapper.
Is he a photographer?
He's a rapper. From
okay, never mind.
Daily City.
Okay. Sorry, my DB.
There might be another Mike EV.
Okay.
There's another 34 out there. For sure. Mike EV is asking if you could change one thing, what would it be? Like, this is pretty open. So in your mind, if you could change one thing, what could be within, could be outside.
I think if I could change one thing, it would be if I could tell myself that I don't need to live in people's expectations. I know you learn that lesson, when you're ready to, but I feel like if I stepped into that part of me earlier on, it would have been better, if that makes sense.
No, I wish I knew.
Yeah.
At 12 years old, when I first wanted to be a rapper,
exactly.
not to care.
Just hyper focus on that, and it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks.
Yeah, and working with these students, I tried to get that message across, and you don't understand. You're not a kid. You don't know what we're going through. I was there. I was there too.
You'll be in a few years, and you're gonna remember this moment.
Yeah, I hope so. And then my second to last question for you is, what would you like to ask the next guest? Questions.
Ooh, I would like to ask the next guest, what is the best piece of advice that someone has given you?
What is the best piece of advice? I got to think about this. I'd like to answer this last question. This piece of advice someone given to me. I really got to think about a lot of, I feel like I got to think about this.
I know.
I'm going to go, just for the sake of time, I'm going to go shout out my folks real quick. So my mom, her advice to me all the time was attitude is everything. You'll be doing whatever, but you got to have right attitude, right intention.
Definitely.
Perspective. At least that's how I took it. And from my dad, he always told me that experience is the best teacher. So
retweet.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's plenty of more lessons that they have tried to get to stick in my head, but I hope those two satisfy them and be taught me something. But yeah, other than that, I'm a big quote person. I like it when when something is just worded in a way that I've already been thinking about, but just needed
they put
to see
it
somewhere.
like nicely. You're like, oh yeah, I thought about that first, but thank you for putting it together.
For sure. So the quote that I always is also in my like sign off work signature is what lies before you, what lies ahead of you, little compared to what lies within you. So that's my jam. I feel like, you know, as far as knowing who I am. For you,
I
Chad,
love that.
Well, it's what lies within.
Actually, that's so powerful. I really love that. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you for asking.
Of course.
All right. And we made it to the last question of the podcast, which is 100, 200, 300 years from now, your descendants are watching this video. What would you like to tell them? No pressure. You know, they're like, I don't know if they're watching at 13 years old, 21 years old, but whatever. Like, they see this.
They're still watching.
Yeah.
I would say, it sounds so cheap, but everything you like, kind of like what you said in your quote, like everything you want and everything you aspire, you already have. You already have it. You just need to be brave enough to pursue it, no matter who tells you, your own family, yourself, everything you want, you already have. It's just up to you if you want to get it.
Sure. I hear you. I hear you. And any last things you'd like to add before we head out of here? Where can people find your music and, you know, book you if they want to?
Yeah, so I go by DJ Wavy BB, literally as I said it. They can find me on Instagram. My mixes are on SoundCloud. I play EDM, R&B, hip hop. You can find me playing anywhere in the Bay Area, Oakland, San Francisco, San Jose. But yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
Got you. I do want to ask you this one last question, but
Sure.
Based on your experience, especially, you know, talking with me today, what sign would you say I am? I'm always curious when people say they like astrology, and I'll be like, I wonder if they can guess correctly. But
Okay. I think you are a Libra or Taurus.
Good guesses. I am a Taurus. So
I don't buy shit.
that's a good one. I feel like in my lifetime of asking people this question, maybe one or two, and maybe you're the third now to get it on the money.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
What's the Taurus thing that you feel like that you were like, this could be him?
You're very grounded. That's
Word.
like a huge thing because I'm a Taurus moon. I have a lot of Taurus friends, and I get the best like compatibility in terms of friends is Taurus. So I was like, I'm just gonna throw a feeler, and I was right.
You was right. Che, thank you for stopping by. Hope you had fun with the conversation. If you ever want to do a part 2, tackle on some more Wheel of Fate questions, feel free, especially if you want to like log or journal your journey stuff. I like this because people can kind of look back at it and be like, that's where I was at that point.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, thank you. Want to thank the folks out there. If you listen on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or watching this on YouTube, thank you for your time as well. Remember to reach out, reach forward. As always, much love. Catch you guys next time. 34 questions. Peace. Oh, messed up. I don't know why. But it's all good.